AppSumo Thank you so much for joining us for another product walkthrough webinar. I am Lindsay, and today I am joined by the team over at KDMARC. This is an email authentication and anti-spoofing tool designed to help you secure and enhance outbound mail flow. It is available on AppSumo right now, starting at $59 for a lifetime deal, and is sitting pretty with a 5 taco rating. Before we dive into the tool itself, I just want to tell y'all a few quick things if you haven't been here before. The first is that if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your use case, we do love to hear that down in the chat room. The second thing is if you have any questions about the tool, the deal, how to get set up, go ahead and leave those questions in the Q&A box down below this video, and we will circle back to it at the end of the walkthrough. And the last thing is that there will be a replay of this available. So if you need to step out, or if you just want to watch this, on the weekend, you totally can. It'll be available to you shortly after we're done recording. All right, that's enough of me. Hey, Pavan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
It is great to have you here. I'm going to go ahead and pass this over for the walkthrough. Let me know when you're ready to take questions.
Definitely, yeah. So let me just start with the walkthrough.
Go for it.
Can I share my screen?
Yep. I'll stay on to make sure that it shows up. Looks good. We got your calendar. We're going to find out what you're doing later. All right. Have fun.
So it's. I think now you can see the main page, which is app.kdmarc.com, right? Okay, thanks. So hi Sumo Links. Probably you may have purchased this particular deal, or you're planning to purchase this particular deal. So just to give you a brief background, you can actually go ahead with this particular redemption of the cost, and then we'll set up the DKIM, DMARC, and the SPF authentication using KDMARC so that your domain is being protected from the spoofings. Not only the spoofing, but also from the attackers which are trying to use your domain. It's basically defend your domain, not defend your domain, but also increase the ability of your emails. So let me just go to the link for app.kdmarc. So you must, once you purchase a deal, you must have seen this particular kind of page where what you need to do is you just type your username, password, the first name, last name, username, and the code. So the code you can just, that you received so far from the AppSumo, you can put it over here. Once you put it over here, you can directly go and log into the console. So just for the demo purpose, what I'm going to use is I'm going to create a new account as a free trial, and then show you that how you can the rest of the tool. Let me just go again app.kdmarc.com. I'll just go and register. Pavan. So my email ID is Pavan+5. Says go with the password. I don't have a referral code. So once you do that, you'll receive an email right into your inbox saying, just give me again, this particular email to verify your account. Once you click on this email, you will receive this particular guide page. And this will actually help you to navigate, this tool assistant will help you to navigate what is there and what you need so far. So the first thing is that there's an assistant where you can click on and get to know about how you set up a KDMARC, the things, videos, why you need to set up a KDMARC, and etc. So let's just go to this. The next thing is that what you need to do is you actually click to get in this particular section to check what kind of domains that you added so far. The next is the sources, classification. So I'll give you a brief of every other features once we're done with these things. So for this time, I'm just gonna skip it. I'm just directly going to domain. So let's say for the showing purpose, I'm just going to add academylms.com. This is one of the deal I've just seen in the AppSumo. So I'm just gonna click over here. So once I click on academylms.com, looks like this all okay. This is already registered over here. Let me just check some other domains. This is also being registered. Test taken testing. The next option that you will get is, do you want to enable your smart SPF? So before we start on, let's just do this. Yes, I wanted to check my smart SPF. Okay. I'm just stuck on this page because none of these domains exist as of now. So I'm just really, we have set up every other domain so far. So this is like completely talking KPMONITO. Yeah, so I got this one. So basically, what I did so far is I want to add these DMARC records and the SPF. Now, let me tell you what these DMARC records and SPF records are. So basically, this particular KDMARC, what this particular exactly does is that it helps you to identify that if someone is sending any email on your behalf, how to make sure that they will not be able to send any email so far and these kind of emails. And how this entire protocol works is that, think like this, that you have a postal mail service and you wanted to send something to your loved one. For example, let's say I want to send something to my customer, which is just for an example. So if I send something to AppSumo, I have an envelope, the content inside the envelope, which could be a letter, and then I just write down the address of AppSumo, and it directly goes to the AppSumo office. But how AppSumo will identify, is this a correct document received from Power or not? Because anyone can send a document to the AppSumo's office by just changing the from address. The same thing do happen with the emails. So anyone can change your from address. For example, let's say in case of AppSumo, let's say if someone's trying to send an email from pawan@appsumo.com, they will be able to send it very easily if there is no DMARC record. Now, how the DMARC plays an important role, and what is this SPF records? So the SPF records is the records which says who are your authorized senders. So let's say if I wanted to send an email on a campus behalf, which are the servers or the IP addresses, their corresponding names, which can send an email on my behalf. So basically, this is kind of an email authentication ways by which it identifies and give you exact idea that you can send an email from an authorized source. So let's say if I talk about in a postal service, so let's say if you have this FedEx is one of the medium by which you can send an postal email to AppSumo office. So when I define that Pawan always sends an email from FedEx, means FedEx is my authorized sender. The same goes with this SPF record. Sometimes we put here the G Suite, sometimes put here SendGrid, MailChimp, or whatever marketing tool that you're going to use. So once you define this particular thing over here, that okay, these are the tools that I'm going to use, and once you do that, the whosoever the receiver is will identify the same thing using these records by checking the DNS directory. So basically, this helps you to legitimize the sources from where your email should go. And apart from this, there's one more component called DKIM. So DKIM again being provided by the email provider, and a lot of articles that can guide you how to set up a DKIM records. Once DKIM record is like a signature, I'll say, let's say if I send this envelope and the AppSumo team has access to those signatures and they can verify that okay, this envelope is coming from FedEx and also it has a Pawan signature. That means this is a verified envelope or a postal mail that is sent across to me. The same thing happened with the email. So if that your SPF and DKIM are correct, that means your email is legitimate. Now, how DMARCs play an important role? So DMARC helps the receiver to decide what kind of email they should accept. So sometimes I may forget to sign. Sometimes I may deliver the email from different, I'll say, medium, which could be any other medium, maybe US Postal Service or something like this. So what then really happens is that find in a DMARC policy that you want AppSumo to check only the SPF or a DKIM, or you wanted them to check both the SPF and DKIM. That's how the receiver defined that they are receiving a legitimate email. And once your SPF and DKIM are correct, and there is email, that means your domain actually have a reputation. Because if someone's trying to spam your domain and they're trying to send an email on your behalf to any of the customer, the SPF and DKIM will probably fail. And based on that, they will check, okay, this is not the actual email from an actual sender. Domain is actually absolutely correct. And that's how it's increased the deliverability as well as the email authentication thing. So basically, it's prevent you from fraudsters first. The second part is it helps you to regain credibility inside the receiver's inbox, be it Yahoo, your O365, in your exchange itself. So once you do these particular things so far, if you do not know how to do this, you just go over here, write an email to your co-sender, the guy who can actually help you with this. So I'm sending to myself. I click over here, so the email is sent. I received the instruction of how these. So this is I have received that. If I click over here, there's a page which is going to open. So that's how you can also instruct domain administrators or the people who knows technology and who can actually help you with these records. So once you set up these kind of things, I'll just log into my different dashboard altogether. Let me just do this. So once you set up these records, the service provider or the receivers where you are sending an email to send back the reports, means they tell me like how many have. So let's say if you're sending an email from G Suite to Yahoo, so the Yahoo will send an email to KDMARC, okay, with a report for those 24-hour or 48-hour, whatever time they take, that, okay, I have received, for example, this particular thing. So these are the senders. So let me just go to the report section first. I'll tell you. So these are the receivers who are mentioned, for example, Google, Yahoo, Joho, Cyberpeace Foundation, Microland. These are the receiver who told me that how many emails that they have received, how many from a different thing. For example, Google has received 7606 emails in this particular period of time. So they exactly tell me how many I received, how many of them was passing as an SPF, passing DKIM, and how many were them forwarders, means the email which we forward. So you will receive those kind of reports, which will eventually help you to identify, are your DKIM and DMARC record correct or not. Not only this, but it's also help you to identify that who are your unknown sources. For example, this particular domain is my unknown sources who are sending to who are sending emails on my web, and I have never authorized this particular domain. You can identify that who are the people who are trying to spoof it. If you go and do this, you can get much more details inside this. But I'll come to that later. Let's just go on one piece by one. So the first thing that you have in this dashboard is this. So you'll get this section where you can choose the domains, whatever domains that you want to put on, or you click on all domains. So if you click on all domains, it will give for all the domains. Now, in this particular period, let's say last 7 days, if I filter it out, I've sent 9,840 emails, out of which my DMARC component emails was 98%. That means this email is being received by these receivers. Out of these emails, 90% of the emails has landed into the inbox. The rest 2%, which is failed because those were not from my authorized source, means those are the people who are trying to spoof me from a various ways. Maybe for a different kind of stuff. So basically, that the other part is how many SPF has passed, how many DKIM has passed, how many actually failed, which is DMARC failed messages, and how many IP addresses has been sent. So basically, these are for all of my domains. So maybe some has the DKIM record setup, DMARC record setup, some has SPF record setup. So this data is a combination of those domains. I can choose to check the accurate data for a specific domain. So here, one thing that you can also see that the DKIM is 100%, but my DMARC is 98% compliant, because what I did so far, and the policy could be, let me just check if it's an Q&A question. Okay, I'll pass this. So the would be, um, my policy may be sometimes maybe that they both SPF and DKM should pass. So if the SKM DKM should pass are passed, then only the DMARC will pass. But if there's only one thing, which is, let's say DKM is passing, even though it will not receive an email, as because my DMARC instruct me that okay, this email does not qualify because I'm asking you to both SPF and DKM. Now, coming back to this, the other thing is you can also check that how many IP addresses was used to send an email using this domain. So you can click on these IP addresses, which generally belongs to Google, some of them only, some of them from Zoho CRM, some of them from Critical Academy, and whatnot. So I can just go and filter them, and these IP addresses can be used later to actually send put into the SPF part, because these are the server's IP addresses that you want to configure. Now, coming back to this, the other is this particular section shows you the top 5 threads which you have so far, which actually trying to send an email. So let's say the Outlook is also a predominant thread which is trying to send an email. The Critical Academy, Google also has tried. So someone may be using some SMTP to spoof my domain, and some mailgun.net has also tried to spoof this particular thing. I can just go on view details. Well, I'll to that into the source section. The other part is which are the countries from which I am receiving the email. So my majority of the emails provider are based out of US, but the Singapore, India, Ireland, and these all the providers are in red because these are neither DKIM, DMARC, or SPF authenticated providers. So I can just go check, click on this, go further investigate, and there are tons of things that you can do so far in that particular section. So let me just again go to this. So that's how you can just read the data from different geolocation, how many emails passing your domain, generally the SPF and DKIM. Now coming back to this, domain section gives you a clear understanding of how many domains are active, inactive, or the domains that you can probably click over here and add those domains directly into this particular section. And once you do that, you will add them in active and inactive. When I say active, means these domains has a clear policy which is being managed or controlled by Critical, or they have our email ID configured into their DMARC record. So that means these domains are configured. If I click on a particular domain, you'll get a lot of data. For example, what is the DKIM, SPF, DMARC, or whatever records which are available. For example, let's say I have this particular DMARC policy. I do not have any SPF center framework policy for this as of now. My BME records are this. My Google records are this. So you can see what kind of things that you have so far by just clicking on the domain's name. There's one more here which has this. The KDMARC, which has already SPF records, but it does not have a BME records. BME, I'll tell you in some other time what it is. But you can actually obviously check those kind of records once you click on this domain section. So this is one of the part how the domain section works. You can also click on view, edit particular domain, that if you wanted to change those domains, or if you wanted to change the policy of that particular domain, or you can delete those domain from here itself. So that's all from a domain side. Now, the one more interesting thing is that once you have a domain policy configured, people may try to spoof your domain using subdomains. So let's say receiver generally treat, let's say if I have a domain like .critical.com, then the subdomain of my subdomain, this app.critical.com, will be treated as an independent domain than the critical.com, and it has an independent reputation. So what I also wanted to know, that if someone is trying to check if someone is trying to send an email using my subdomains. So what this particular tool does is it also discovers your subdomains. Okay, what are the domains? And this is actually discovering right now. This takes a bit kind of time. It will give you that which are the subdomains which are used to send an email on your behalf. So you'll see that list inside the KDMARC itself. So I'll just open this in the different dashboard. So let me just do this. Yeah. So I'll come to that once this is being analyzed and set. So let's come to this. Yeah. Now coming back to the classifications, what classification means is you can authorize, you can just define your authorized and unauthorized sources here in classification. So these are all the sources based on the DMARC receive. We tell you that, okay, these are the sources who are sending the emails on your behalf. So be it Google, Microsoft, Zoho, and there is no name on those particular emails. They have this RDNS or the DNS configured. So these are, you can just filter out these things by authorized and unauthorized sources. So I have these, I think 28 mails which are sending emails on my behalf, but only I have authorized only 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've only authorized 5 places which are authorized. So I can, and whenever you want, you can unauthorize these by clicking over. Let me just change this to classification to unauthorized. Yeah, click on change classification. I'll just click on unauthorized. So now this, because this domain does not have my DKIM and SPF record configured, I'll mark them as an unauthorized. And this helps you to keep track, okay, what are the sources which are actually authorized and which are not authorized. So now this particular domain is unauthorized. So these are the major sources which are actually sending domains emails on your behalf, and which are authorized domains, or I'd say the senders which can send emails on your behalf. Once you did with this, now just go to the classification, and you can just filter out the sections. You can just check the other senders which are sending emails on your behalf, mark them classified, not classified. It's up to you, and you can generate reports on the basis of this. Once you do that, the next step is to identify sources, and these sources contains the data as well. So these sources are like the previous in the classification, that the sources that we have seen, these are the same sources. This also gives you the idea of how many volume, means the email that they are sent, how many emails they have sent, and out of which how many failed. Generally, these failed emails are the mails which get into the spam folder. So let's say if any of your authorized class sending and you find out these are the spam or a failed emails, you should correct it either by using SPF or DKIM or the DMARC policy. And if you face any challenges, we are here to help, because I know this is a bit technical, but obviously we can help you with the smart documentation and everything, so that you will not, the email should be delivered into the inbox of a user, not in the spam of the user. But if you still see, there are very few email which is being failed, and this might be because someone is trying to spoof my domain using Google. So that could be a possible scenario. So that's how you actually identify and check what are the sources which are actually sending an email. If you wanted to get much more details, you click over here. Then you can check, okay, this is the particular email volume, how many qualified. Now coming back to this, how do you interpret this data? This from domain is from where you send an email. This IP address for this particular center, which is google.com, is the IP address which by using the email was sent. This was the date. The PTR record says that the reverse DNS lookup generally for this particular IP was Google. The country was US. These many emails were sent on this date. The policy which was applied, which is DMARC policy. The DMARC policy has 3 sections: none, reject, and quarantine. I'll tell you that into the smart DMARC. Well, let's go on. I've already described what is DKIM and what is SPF. These DKIM is kind of signature key, which actually validates is an actual email, which comes into the header file of email. The same goes with SPF. So SPF is the list of IP addresses or host names from where you generally send the emails. So my both DKIM SPF pass means my emails are configured. This report is being sent by Google, means the email which was received from this particular domain was received by Google itself. DKIM was passed, and these you will find a two kind of SPF and DKIM. Okay, one is the initial SPF DKIM, and then you will find these SPF over here. These SPF DKIM denote your email alignment. Generally, we call it SPF alignment or a DKIM alignment. What it means is these SPF, you have correctly configured your SPF and DKIM, then they will see pass here. But if you not configured the SPF and DKIM, they may pass here. Why? Because when you send an email, there is a written path as well as a from domain where you send an email. So and this is particular domain, I was already set it up that to my domain only, and I've already set up that to my domain only. That's why I'm saying this .com here. But if you configure these two features, this probably is by default of your email service provider. So if you're using MailChimp, SendGrid, the SPF domain will be passed by sendgrid.net, and it will say pass. But your overall SPF will be failed. This is being done because even though the people who is not familiar with DMARC technology, so the people who are sending legitimate email should get some kind of soft fail kind of thing so that they can get this particular email into the inbox. So this kind of bit help if it's coming from a legitimate sources, but these DKIM SPF selector are the written path DKIM selectors and SPF selectors. Now we've done everything with the reports part, sorry, sources part. Now coming back to the reports, you can actually check when I say compliance. So the first report that we have, the compliance. What it means is if you have something in red, that actually means that your emails are failing on a DMARC perspective. For example, for this particular, for some of my domain, let's say I've sent 766 email, out of 50 email was failed. Okay, failed means that they were failing the DMARC. That means these email was probably landed up into the spam. And these particular 4 emails were in rejected. That means this email was never landed into the inbox of a user. The one is quarantine. That means this was sent for a further investigation from the email receiver side. That's how you interpret the compliance data. Whatever you see in a green field, it's generally, that means your email is actually, and it may have put in the inbox based on the kind of content or email that you try to deliver over there. So that's what fail, pass, reject, quarantine meals in a compliance report. Next, let's just go to the senders. In senders, also find the same things. So you can identify which are the senders who are performing well, which are the senders that you need to identify and need to fix it. If there are senders which are not your own sender, you can mark them unauthorized senders, and you can make sure that they are, and put up a policy to mode so that they will no longer be able to send emails on your behalf. So you can directly integrate and check. For example, in this case, whatever Google have my G Suite. So we generally use G Suite for our own purpose. So whatever Google has sent so far emails, 98.88% of the emails were actually delivered into the inbox of our users, and the rest of the 8 mails was failed DMARC mail. They may have put into the category of the inbox of my users. Then the same goes with ethical.co, but everything looks fine for those particular 4 sources. And you can go in more details over here if you wanted to get some more idea. Now going back to this. So the same goes with geolocation, from which location your SPF is failing, everything, what kind of threats that you have, etc., etc., etc. You get everything in this. The same with receiver. So there's one more thing that I wanted to point it out for the marketing people, that the receiver is a very important part. Receiver means the people who are receiving emails from you. So basically, a marketing list that you're sending across to your people, and you don't know who are the end receivers. So let's say if I have an email which is pawan@ethical.com, you do not know I am hosted on O365 or on G Suite or any other service. So these are the receiver. The receiver generally means the receiver who received the email, and this tells me that how Google are treating my emails. So if I talk about Google has received 99.63% of the emails they have put into the inbox. The rest of the emails was put in the spam or some other folder. And maybe in this section as well, even though if DMARC and SPF and DKIM are passing, and if you're sending a spammy content, the email can go into the spam. And that's why we generally advise do not send any spammy content from your actual domain. The same goes with Yahoo. This. So these are the receiver who are sending emails. If you wanted to see more receiver or all receiver, you can click on further on this, and you get to know who are your receivers and who are receiving your emails. Now, going back to this, there's one more type called forensics. Generally means that if someone is trying to do some bad thing, you will these receiver sends an email to do a further investigation. So I can check this. So I have received this email from someone. Okay, this is a particular email which was used to spoof me from that particular service. So they will send me an email. Okay, this is the particular email which is sent from Twilio to Archit Jain, which looks suspicious. Please have a look on it. Generally, the forensic reports are not visible because of the security concerns or the privacy concerns. Generally, these providers do not share the report, but some of the providers generally, if you have a large volume and a huge volume, they do provide those reports on how your email flow is working so far in this forensics. Now, coming back to the smart SPF. What does smart SPF mean? So I've already configured it for my KDMARC. What SPF means is that when you have a, let's say, 10 different sources of the email service provider or a marketing tools, you will understand this, that these SPF that you're putting so far in a DNS allows you only to put 10 DNS lookup. I can include only 10 DNS over here and that use problem. So if you have more than 10 tools or IP addresses or any include domains, this could be a big problem for you. So to solve this problem, what you can do so far is you can use automatic SPF filtering. What it does is it tries to check what kind of IP associated with these domain names, and then instead of including the DNS lookups, it actually put the IP address in this, which allows you to unlimited DNS lookup. And this is a technology which is exclusive to our people. I think there are few companies in the world who have built this, including some of our competitors. I think I can name them probably 3 or 4 or 5 company who has this features enabled with them. We have did this, and I know the AppSumo team fought with us for getting these features enabled for the Sumo links. So this feature allows you to have a multiple uh, SPF records inside in single lookup. So we'll put up our own custom lookup and then we pattern those IP addresses. There are a lot of documentation available, and you can refer this documentation whenever you want. I'll share that link, and you obviously click on here where you just go into a knowledge base. In a knowledge base, you'll find out about what is SPF flattening, what is smart SPF in a much more details. You just go into our help desk page, you'll find it out. Now, apart from this, if you wanted to include anything which is which you feel that you've received a new IP, you just go here, you put that IP, try to check what kind of package that you wanted to put on. It is an IPv4, IP6 max a PTR redact or include. You click on save. This will automatically be managed in these in this SPF record itself. So that's how we manage the entire SPF record for you, so that you have at least authentication mechanism being working flawlessly. We haven't have a smart DKIM because the DKIM itself generally comes from from the email service provider. So that's why we generally do not have anything which is like smart DKIM. We can put it for sure, but the other providers have the email service provider have their own DKIM key, and that makes us a bit difficult for us. Now coming back to the DMARC, what DMARC is, and this is the very important part of the product. What DMARC is, that how you want receiver to treat your email. Okay, so let me just check is configured to one of my email. This is configured for critical.co. So when you have a policy which is p is equal to none, and you have so I do not go to this record because it will be a bit confusing. But what you can do so far, I know there are a lot of people who does not understand the technicality of this. What you can do so far is you can actually use our DMARC, smart DMARC configuration tab. So what this particular tab means is, if you put up a none policy, is whatever email is being sent so far using your domain. So let's say in my case, pawan@critical.co, this particular policy tells the receiver that do not take any actions. So basically, it says do whatever you want to do. We do not have any say in it. So that's what precisely it means. And if you feel that you have correctly configured your RF and DKIM, then what you can do so far is you can click quarantine. What quarantine means is that if their DKIM SPF fails, or whatever policy that you apply, if it fails, then what should be done with that email? So the receiver will actually check this email. This will put into the quarantine box. Basically, it's a different folder altogether into your mail service folder or Exchange or whatever you are using. So they will put that email in a quarantine for a further investigation, basis on your pass or fail. So if your SPF pass, it will deliver into inbox. If fails, then this email will be quarantined. The same goes with reject. So reject is a bit different. In a reject, that what you tell to the receiver that okay, please, if you receive anything so far which is not part the SPF, then sorry, which is not passing my DMARC records, then reject that email absolutely. So basically, no one will be able to basically send anything from your domain which does not have correct DMARC configured. Okay, so that's how these three policy works. And the same policy, so let's say this is for my root domain. If I wanted to use that policy for a subdomain, how I can use it? So you can use the same policy as a parent, which is this one, or you can define subdomain policy on a different thing, maybe none quarantine or whatever it is. It's up to you. Now, this alignment is very important. So if you feel that you do not have correctly SPF or a DKIM, then you think like this. So what this particular thing does is it include into your SPF. So right now my policy is that either of them, because I have relaxed both of SPF and DKIM, if my SPF passes, then also my DMARC will pass. If my passes, then also my DMARC will pass. If both passes, then also my DMARC will pass. But if both fails, then only my DMARC will fail. So that's how I configured right now. If I click on strict, that means I have to have a DKIM pass for my DMARC pass. So if the DKIM is passed, then only my DMARC record will pass, otherwise it will not pass. And based on that, the policy will take in actions on the receiver's inbox. The same goes with SPF. So you can make them strict and relaxed as per your need. So let's say if I click on strict this SPF, now the SPF has to pass. Otherwise, the email will take action according to the policy that you apply. Maybe reject, quarantine, or none. Currently, it's none, so the email will be going to run if your SPF fails. So that's how these records are being configured. Now, coming back to aggregate reports. So these are aggregated reports. There are two types of DMARC reports. So that receiver sends to us. This is a particular where the receiver sends email to us, and then we process that particular reports on your behalf. If you want to do reports, you can put up your email ID over here and click on update. You will also get receiving these reports, but these are non-human readable format. So we analyze it, give that data to you in front of you in the dashboard. So this particular things gives you exact idea, and that's how we are able to identify which are the sources which sends or passes your SPF, DK, and DMARC record. So that's how this aggregate report works. The forensic reports I already told you in this particular section that you will receive an actual email being forwarded by the receiver over this particular happened so far using your domain. And now here you can configure that what kind of the report that you want to do, get in all SPF, all DKIM, all mechanism, or whatever you want to say. And the other part is how much you wanted to apply the DMARC policy. So let me just, my policy was configured on 90%. What it means is that this particular, let's say if your receiver is receiving 100 emails, they will apply this particular technology or the protocol only to the 90 emails. The rest 10 email will be go on a smooth basis. Why this? Because generally we start with the 10% so that we can check if my emails will not fail to get delivered into the inbox of a user. So the implementation of a DMARC is a constructed journey based on the sources, sender sources, the DKIM, SPF. You configure the percentage, and once you are confident that you have categorized and authorized sources so far in DMARC, then you can put up in 100%. Whatever email is being received by these providers, they will take the action on every other email. So that's what it is, especially in this. Now, moving KDMARC tools, what it does is these are the tools by which you can check DMARC record, SPF record. For example, let's say if I wanted to check for critical.com, I can click over here. So you can check for any of the domain that you want to do. And you can also check what kind of things that they have. The same goes with SPF, same goes with DKIM, and etc. etc. There's one more important thing that I just want to tell you is this email assessment. So once you configured an email inside your let's say you just configured your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC record, and this is the particular problem we have been faced by some user, that they are not receiving a report instantly. The report is being received within 24 to 48 hours, and that's why the dashboard was empty on starting. But if you try to check is your DMARC or SPF or a DKIM correctly configured or not, just try to copy this particular email, send an email on this email ID from the sources which we want to test. Let's say I want to just test my G Suite. I click over here, I'll go here in a KDMARC tool. It will take 30 seconds because Google takes some time. Yeah. So I'll just wait for my email for 30 seconds. Yeah, so I've received. So now you can, in a summary, you can check my SPF is passed, KIM passed, DMARC is passed. That means my Google is correct, absolutely configured. And if something fails in, you can check this things right in over here in a bit more details. It also gives you a clear understanding that if your particular domain, especially in any of the blacklist, which is a Ken Spam Act or a Spam House or kind of blacklisted forums, this also gives you a correct idea that if you send, will this email go into the inbox of a user or not. If this IP is into a blacklist, that means your email is not going to deliver into the inbox of a user for sure. So that's what it is from a KDMARC tools perspective. So you can check everything over there. Now, schedule report. So you don't want to come to dashboard again and again. You wanted to get these things right into your inbox. Just go and schedule a report that you want to receive. The receivers, you can just type on. So let's say if you're an agency who are managing the customers' emails, you just type the email address of the customers. That customer will keep receiving emails right into their inbox, checking out how many emails got delivered, how many emails failed, SPF, DKIM, DMARC, and everything. And you can check what kind of report that you wanted to send to them, which domain that you wanted to send to them, etc., etc., etc. So that you can actually go and use those intervals, etc. So that's something that you can go and define from here. Now the IAM, which is specially defined. Let's say if multiple user who's trying to use or going to use this particular dashboard, you can define those users with a custom policy. That what kind of policy you are giving them a full access. User they have a user rate, they have a source, they can manage Smart SPF, they can manage Smart. Whatever you want to do, there are multiple policies. I think there are 57 policies that you can actually put in, or you can directly go, and this policy can be defined into roles, and these roles can be configured with the users. Generally, we have a three role defined, which is super admin, reader role, and administrator role. You can create much more roles using our IAM policy itself. So you can define multiple user who can actually go view, see everything in this particular dashboard. So I have a 10 user who can watch my dashboard from a custom policy perspective. Now, the other part is if you wanted to protect your system, let's say you feel that someone can hack your system, or if you're compromised on some other platform, you can enable two-step verification. Means is if I enable two-step verification, there is a code. Once I start to log in, there's a code which goes to my email, which is a 4-digit or 6-digit code that you have to put into the while you're signing up. So basically, it's a two-step verification that we have implemented. The other part is your organization. You can have a logo. So I already have a Criticals logo. You can put this Criticals logo. The security credential means you could change the password, information, and etc. But especially for AppSumo customers, you will receive. There's one more section over here called billing, where you can check what kind of plans that you are in. You'll also receive one section over here. Let me check if I have it. There's one more section that you receive over here. It's the AppSumo section over here, where you can put your code here and apply it if you wanted to increase the limit. you have a one code, two code, three code, four codes. You can apply as many as code you want, and you will check this domains and the email volume increasing by implementing those codes. So this is something. And if you wanted to upgrade your plan, anyone to you choose the volume that you wanted to go for. You choose the plan that you go for a annual or a monthly plan. Whatever payment plan you've done. That's how easy it is to upgrade. In the meanwhile, in this entire scenario, if you feel that you need any help, you just click on this button. You'll find a lot of articles written about DMARC, how to check, hosted BME, etc., etc. But if you still feel that you need further help, you can create a ticket from here. We generally try to actually send an ticket as soon as possible, or reply to those tickets as soon as possible, so that our customer has everything in place. And you also can visit the entire knowledge base inside the tool itself. So let's say if you do not know anything in reports, you want to understand, just click on reports. You'll find out what is the kind of reports, how did it get calculated, how to improve, etc., etc., etc. So you will find so the other part is, let's say, how to use Smart DMARC, how Smart DMARC works. You'll find everything inside this itself. So even though if you do not have access, you can actually use our this widget to check on this. Is also we have some videos or walkthrough videos where you can just place why KDMARC, how we do what is DMARC, about DMARC, because this is a particular technical field, so we already put it up a lot of things over here. The user community is a Facebook group currently. You can join it. You have questions, you directly can ask a question. And now in the last, you have our support email. You can just put up an email apart from creating a ticket from here if you want to do direct from email. Also, if you wanted to talk to a live person, you click on request a demo, you drop an email, and you're done. So that's all from my side. I've done with the walkthrough. I'm ready to take questions.
Thank you. Simulings, if you have any more questions, you can go ahead and send those in now to the Q&A box. Let me go ahead and just run through the ones that we have here. Not sure if you explained this, but could you walk us in on how to specifically authorize a third party to send emails on our behalf? Do we need to go to the domain settings of our domain registrar?
So yes, so if you have a third party, so I'll tell you the example. Let's say if I have an admin.google.com, and this is one of the source, or you can go to sendgrid.com. So so there are two things one thing especially that you need to configure is that the DKIM records. So DKIM records are available from the domain. So the SPF and DKIM both records are available from the email marketing provider or the domain or the email provider. So it could be your SendGrid, or it could be your G Suite, or whatever it is. And you'll find those articles. Let me just log into this. I think they have not sent an email to me, but I'll tell you into this 3.2. So whenever you add any extra domain here into any of the marketing tool, find the SPF and DKIM set correctly in that tool itself. Just taking this SendGrid is widely used across the industry, so I'll just going to add a domain to send an email. So let me just go to authentication. I'm just, let's say I wanted to send a domain. Let's say just choose any registrar. Let's say. So I've just put it up a domain. Now you'll find the SPF and DKIM. So for example, these are the DKIM key by default. So whenever you add a domain, you'll get these DKIM. These are DKIM keys. These are also domain keys, which is DKIM keys. These are automatically configured. And also, if you need any help, just try to send. Let's say if I wanted to check mail DKIM and SPF. So you'll find this beautiful article on how to set up email authentication or on MailChimp. So the kind of email providers, they actually give you, so these are already available. CNAME records, you copy these records from here and send it to your domain. So it's a combination of email server will give you the SPF and DKIM, and then you need to put it into a DNS record. So especially the DKIM that record that you need to put on DNS record. The rest of the things you can directly configure the DMARC and the SPF. So you can come to the SPF if it is being managed. You can put it over here, like let's say for critical.co, I can come here and let's say put 1.1.1, whatever IP or let's say this SPF we have for MailChimp. Let me just check what is the SPF they have. Just telling the they are only telling the DKIM. Let me just check MailChimp's SPF. Let me just check MailChimp SPF. SPF configuration. Yeah. Find it here. So you'll find tons of article about MailChimp SPF. So this is the particular, yes, here it is. That's the MailChimp's, I'll say, this MailChimp's SPF record. So I'll go over here, I'll add it. It's an include, because include was written over there. If I click here, it will automatically add me over here. So now I have directly configured the SPF record of your MailChimp configuration into my system. And that's how easy it is configured your SPF. And the DMARC record is already configured because it's a DNS thing. But a DKIM that you need to set up, you actually need to set this particular thing, especially in using, it will be provided by your email providers, and then you need to put it into your DNS. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If I already have policies, do I have to remove them from the other place so they are managed by your app?
So no. So what you generally do is, if you have a policy, so whenever you add in any new domain, we actually check your existing policy and incorporate those policy to our records. So just once you put in our record, you just remove the old record that you have. Your previous configuration or settings automatically been configured inside the KDMARC.
Awesome.
For SPF and DKIM, SPF and DMARC. DKIM you have to manage from the DNS itself. But for SPF and DKIM, both settings are being predefined, and we actually automatically save your previous settings inside the new records.
Awesome. So if in classification I mark as unauthorized, they will automatically be taken off being able to send emails on my behalf? Question mark.
No, so this unauthorized is just a denotation of actually giving you idea on how your email sources are working on. So you wanted to understand what are the authorized sources from where you are receiving emails. This authorized and unauthorized is just a classification for a nomenclature to help you out build reports. But to actually being unauthorized, these servers should not have your SPF into your SPF. So once you go to this classification, you'll find out that if any of the unclassified or unauthorized source has your SPF configuration, you should absolutely go to the smart SPF, remove those configuration or your DKIM or DMARC records or the DNS to remove those configurations so that they are actually unauthorized to send an email.
Awesome. I know it's not an SMTP server, but do you have any plans for some sort of DLP? Okay, so DLP is different, which is a data loss prevention. We have plans, but it's going to be a different product altogether. So we are looking for building up an email gateway, but that's a long plan. It's not a DLP. It's a DLP thing, and DLP again comes on a different part. It could be a system-based DLP, which is a domain data loss prevention system. It could be an email-based DLP. It could be an organization-wide DLP. There are tons of tools which are available from McAfee, Symantec, or a big company like Proofpoint. So you can go and try it out for some time. But we have a fear of building those kind of tools. But currently, we do not have a plan, at least for a few years. Awesome. Thank you. Sorry if I missed the first part. How do you get this information? Do email recipients report this information? Is there any support of defeater for that system where it won't report? Also, if your sending IP address gets on a block list, how can you help?
Okay, so I'll divide this particular question. I think this question multiple questions inside it. The first part is the how we receive these reports. First question. The next question that you asked so far is about the IP reputation. If I correctly understood, I think the questions. Or is there anything in between?
Yeah, the IP is if your sending IP address gets on a block list, how can you help?
Okay, so the first question is that how do we receive reports? So when you set up your DMARC record, you actually put up an IP address in that particular DMARC record. So let me just give you that. Yeah, so let it be fast. So here you see this, there is an email which is being written over here. So whenever receive anything into their inboxes, they check for DMARC record and they save this email ID. Whenever they send the email, so they create an XML report. These XML reports are being sent by receivers to these email IDs. And then we process those reports inside the dashboard. That's how we receive the data from those receivers. I know generally I'll say the people say that more than 95% of the inboxes or generally the receivers, which more than 95% is compliant with DMARC. So let's say if you're sending to those any emails, they are generally being configured and they are DMARC capable. So they send emails to us directly. Okay, these are the reports that they receive. The rest of the things, even though you do not receive the reports, but these are the receivers. Generally, these receivers are your Yahoo, AT&T, your other mail service, GoDaddy, other mail service provider have a capability to check DMARC records. And so even though they're not sending the reports, your email is still being checked. So they may not generate the reports, but your email is still being checked and is being received by those receivers. The other question is that can we help is to unblock it? Absolutely no, because we help you to actually set up your DKIM, SPF, and DMARC records, especially to help you authenticate your email. I think your email provider will be help if someone put you on a block list. We only help you to identify if there is something which is our IP, which the sources that we have. Again, this is not entire sources that we do test, is this listed on a block list or not? So we will not be able to help you out even if your email is IP is blocked.
Great, thank you. Edward asked a follow-up question just regarding the policies if they're already existing in another place. Do they need to delete those policies at all from the other app?
No. So what you need to do is you have to first come to the KDMARC. You set up your domain. When you go, click on when you first put the domain name inside the box and click on next. As soon as you click on next, your existing policy is automatically being captured inside our policy. So then only, so once you sign up onto the KDMARC and put your domain, then only you get those policies, because then it's being cached into our system and you don't have to actually get those policies up and running. And generally, when you actually put up these policies are being replaced. Apart from the Cloudflare, which is a DNS provider, it allows 2 policies at a time because one is from a CDM side, one from a tech side. Otherwise, you have 1 policy at a time. So either we or you manage it your own, it's a 1 policy.
Awesome, thank you. Could you add a code level where we get new domains and additional emails at a discount? I'm sure.
Yeah, so we have already discounted our domain. So we have already, I think, in the AppSumo page, let me just go ahead.
Yeah, let's do it.
I can 100% assure you that you will never be able to. This is what I feel. If you are in a small enterprise or small company, for example, for us, we are around 100 plus people. We only send 9,000 emails in a 7 days period. So I will never be able to exhaust the limit even for one code. This is 400K emails per year. So what I'm saying is, I don't feel so that you need an extra over limit on this. But for domains, I think they are restricted to 2. But if you need more domains, you can always purchase new domain. I think this is listed over here. Yeah. So you can optional add-on is you can always purchase new domain as $5 per month. Same limit that you have on AppSumo.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
What is the difference between setting this on your app versus doing it directly in the domain registrar?
Okay, so the difference is if you do it directly with the domain registrar, you also do that particular facility. Let me just go ahead and add a new domain and I'll tell you that it works. Just I'm just putting anything like this. Yeah. So we have a 2 method by which you can do that. One is you use, or you just go at text record. So once text record, we do not have a control. You will not get smart SPF, smart DMARC. Means you will not be able to control the policies from our dashboard. You have to have a knowledge. What is this P is equal to none like? What is ASPF, ARKM, which is a very technical and tedious task. So we have simplified it so that you can actually go into a GUI, change this particular policy within fraction of seconds, and build your own policy. Let's say if I want to quarantine, if we check this policy will be changed to quarantine once I save it. So what I'm saying is that once you have, if it's being managed by us, I think that's the best thing, the good thing so far, because I think it will take 48 hours to reflect or 24 hours to reflect. But what you can do is, then you will not be able to see this particular page where you have an UI from where you can alter this particular policy as per your need. You have to go to the DNS section again and again to make sure that your data is actually, let me just do this, to change this particular policy based on the result that you have if you choose the text record, which is the DNS type of record. So that's, I hope I've cleared the question.
Thank you. All right, Sumo, one more question here. If you would like to submit any more questions, now is your time to shine. And one came in. If I purchase the 2-domain plan, can I set up multiple subdomains under one domain?
Okay, no, so you can't set up, but what you can do so far is you can set up a policy for subdomain. So let's say we already checked the domains on your graph. I think I've already opened up somewhere here. Let me just check. No, I've just disappeared. So this one. So we already checked. So let's say if you set up a one domain, we already receive those reports from your subdomains. So you don't have to set up an additional subdomain. But if you wanted to put up an additional subdomain policy, you can always go to the DMARC section, go to the critical node core, for example, let's say, and you can define the policies over here. You don't have to add a subdomain, but if you explicitly want to add a subdomain, it will be treated as another domain.
All right, last question. How do you know that my domain is my domain? How do you authenticate that when I enter a domain, it is mine?
Great question. So how do we, if you enter any domain, let's say, for example, I'm just doing that. I'm taking an example of AppSumo, for example. Now I can not change these DNS record unless I have access to these records or the DNS of AppSumo. That means apart from the owner of the domain, no one will be able to make these changes. And unless you do not change these record, this domain will not be active and you will not receive, for example, let's say I've just added AppSumo, this will not be active and this domain will not work for sure.
Wonderful.
And that's how it's being done.
That's all the questions that we have. Thank you so much for walking us through everything. somebody said that they were grateful we got a cybersecurity AppSumo deal. We're definitely trying to like expand the type of deals that we bring into the store, and this is a very rad addition to our offerings. So thank you so much for taking the time. Sumolangs, if you haven't already, you can go to appsumo.com/KDMARC and that you'll redeem your codes there. It's starting at $59 for a lifetime deal. This is backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee, so you can go ahead, get started, play around with it, see how it works for you. And then once you've done that, we do love to read your reviews on the deal page. We've gotten a bunch so far, and it's still a 5 taco rating. If you would like to add your voice to that, we do love to hear it. And you can always ask any more questions that you have on the deal page as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I hope you have a good one.
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Sumoling, for your time. And I really loved and enjoyed your kind of different questions that you have. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.